Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to an old friend who he had on about 10 years ago. He's got a brand new single out called Deja Vu, and he's appeared recently on Celebrity Big Brother. He's done the big reunion and The Voice, and he joins us on the phone now. Cav, how are you?
I'm very good, my friend. How are you? Long time no speak.
Do you know, I'm delicious and all the better for talking to you because you seem to be in a really good place right now.
You know, I mean, life has its ups and downs. It's definitely having its ups at the moment, so we're going to roll with that.
I think you should. Let's go back to the beginning. There you were, a nice bit of trouser 10, 15 years ago. The ladies loved you. The boys thought you were nice too. And, of course, you had these big hits. I mean, it was the dream life, wasn't it, in a way?
God, I mean, it really was. I mean, I remember just buying Smash Hit every fortnight. It was like my Bible, you know. I mean, I wasn't really very good at much else apart from, you know, music and stuff like that. And I just remember buying Smash Hits and just always thinking, I'm going to be on that cover. Not in a cocky way, just like, I have to be on that cover of Smash Hits. I knew that Nigel Martin Smith, the manager of Take That, was based in Manchester, so he was somebody that I just had to stalk and find. And I don't think I'd have the guts to do it now. You know, I was very, I didn't really care. I would have walked through a brick wall to get it, and I did end up stalking him and finally found him, and then I guess the rest is history, you know.
I think we're about the same age, and it seems sad to me that the kids don't have Top of the Pops to look forward to and Smash Hits. They were so big for us and exciting, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, every third, I think it was Thursday night, you wait for Top of the Pops, and then to suddenly be on it was just, I remember just getting, you know, being on the cover of Smash Hits, and then they really championed me, you know, I almost became a bit like their mascot, because I was on the cover quite a lot, and you just think back to the days when you would buy it and wish to be on it, and then you're on it. It's really a lot to... I don't think I did deal with it at the time, because you're just on this roller coaster. I suppose when it goes is when it really hits you that it actually was a bit of a trip, you know.
Help me with the moment when you thought, I've made it. Was it the Spice Girls? Because, I mean, there was nothing bigger than them in their day, and I don't think there's been anything bigger since, is there?
Yeah, I mean, we signed to Virgin around the same time, and I remember seeing the girls at Virgin Records and just thinking, to be honest with you, I can't see this working. You know, these five lunatics jumping about in tracksuits and the platforms, and that's how they were. That's how they were. That was a uniform every day. There was never like, oh, well, no, it's not going to be the Spice Girls. No, that's how they were. And I remember, I think they showing it on the TV show this morning. We did a Virgin conference where none of us had released records. It was just me and them as the acts for the night, the cabaret, if you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember my manager at the time, good old Nigel Martin Smith, who always had to put his two penises, so he knew everything. He's like, oh no, they'll never make it. What a load of, you know. And then next thing you know, it's number one all over the world. Thank you.
Were they nice girls or were they full of themselves?
They were lovely. They were really lovely. All very individual. You know, Mel B wasn't scary, was she, right in your face. Posh was certainly posh. I remember at this Virgin conference, she was just sat there, a bit of a pan face, and just said, everyone else was like, oh, I'll have a beer, I'll have that. She went, oh, I'll have a Pimm's, please. I thought, oh, God. I think I was on the K-cider at the time, or maybe Hooch. It was a blast, you know, but I think the pinnacle for me was when I did the Smash Hits Award, and I won Best Male Artist, and they won Best Band, and I just thought, this is absolutely nuts. You know, I was dressed as Superman at Earl's Court. You know, beating like Gary Barlow and Peter Andre. It was just nuts. And then I remember going back to the hotel room that night, and because you don't have the camaraderie when you're on your own, you're on your own.
Yeah.
I just remember sitting in the hotel room looking at the Smash Hits Award and thinking, this is all I've ever dreamed of, but I'm here on my own in this hotel room with a bottle of champagne. Like, what happens next, kind of thing, you know?
How hedonistic was it at its best? Let's talk about the good side. I mean, I'm a deeply unattractive man. I have a very, very small man sausage. You've probably read about it on the internet. It must have been really exciting at times, and the attention must have been overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, it really was. Obviously, I started very young, so I had a chaperone with me everywhere. But sometimes the chaperone, maybe when I was 18, 19, 20, didn't come down to London, and those are the times when I might venture. You know, I was mixing with a real mix of people, some quite hedonistic. I was mixing with stylists, I was mixing with photographers, I was mixing with a whole different world of people than I would do in Moston, Manchester. And because I'm quite an open book and I suppose a friendly guy, they'd be like, oh, do you want to come to this party, come to that party? And there was nobody to tell me I couldn't. You know, little did they know I had to be up at 5 a.m. for the big breakfast the next morning. Sometimes wouldn't even go to bed. You know, and I think that was when things started to get a bit crazy, you know.
Is that what happens then, that they're the moments when you're at your most tired and your weakest, that you then become open to temptation that you maybe shouldn't accept?
Yeah, and, you know, it sounds corny because people go, oh, how can you be lonely? You had everything, but you do all this admiration stuff all day, interviews, photo shoots, and then you just be back in your hotel, basically bored. A lot of it was out of boredom.
Right.
So I'd be scouring the phone book, my phone, going, who's out tonight? Oh, come to this nightclub. Oh, come on, just come for one. You know, I couldn't just have just one, and then one leads to other things, and the next, you know, you've got a load of hangers-on in your hotel room at 4 o'clock in the morning, getting up to all sorts, and there's a car waiting downstairs to take you to the big breakfast.
Yeah.
You know, it was touch and go sometimes. I mean, some of those TV appearances, I look back and, you know, like zig and zag, and just think, how did he even get through the episode? I literally would still be, you know, kind of off my face, to be honest with you.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about that. I mean, the Oprah Winfrey once said you don't evolve until you're present. So I guess you weren't, in a way, because you were too distracted with other stuff. What was the biggest problem? Was it drink first? Because I think we've all in show business got sort of an addictive personality. That's what makes you creative, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, again, without sounding like a cliche, I definitely believe that's true. And I think once you get on a stage, for anyone that's experienced it in whatever shape or form, once you get that hit from the audience, that big, massive response, there's no drug like it. You know, you're constantly chasing that high, and then when somebody presents something to you that can give you something similar to that feeling, that's kind of where it started to me. I mean, I wasn't using every day, God, but for me, it was probably starting with the drink, and then that led to, you know, other things. And, you know, for me, unfortunately, it all came kind of crashing down at the same time. So the career was drying up, and I've been doing way too much partying. So it was a bit of a come down from hell, to be honest with you.
Was it mostly coke that was getting you through the performances in the end?
I could never go on stage on coke because it made me too edgy, and also I could never do coke without a drink. I'd need to be drunk. The reason I personally took coke was to get the high, but to keep me going. You know, to keep you. You know, you'd be drunk by 11 o'clock. With coke, you could carry on, be totally sober. Well, talking absolute rubbish, but you could still keep going to 5, 6 in the morning. Yeah.
Do you think it's possible to be an 18, 20, 25-year-old star and not get involved in that? Because it's such a hedonistic life, it's such a showbiz life. It must be hard to avoid it.
I think you'd have to be absolutely, you know, of a strong mindset and have a really strong team around you. Whether that be bandmates or whatever. I'm blaming nobody, but like I say, I kind of was left to my own devices a lot of the time. You know, I mean, Nigel, I felt like my manager was kind of losing interest a little bit, and he had other artists, and it was a bit of a free fall, to be honest with you. I had a lot of money, and I was in London, hanging out with the high society, but this teeny pop star at the same time. It was a real double life.
Would we be shocked if we knew who was getting up to what behind closed doors? Because you've seen it firsthand. We don't know what's going on. Is it shocking what's going on?
In this day and age, is it shocking? I don't know. I mean, you know, you've got Cara Delevingne dropping what, I'm not saying it is, but what seems to be a white packet of something, and no one bats an eyelid. I think it depends on what you do. In the pop world, then, if you're squeaky clean, it's not supposed to happen, but whereas if you're a supermodel or in the cool world, it seemed to be cool, you know. But listen, I can't. I'm about to venture back into this world again, so I can't really say. But I know that in those days, the majority of people that I was surrounded by were definitely, you know, doing it.
We're talking to Kavanagh today. His new single, DJ Vu, will be out shortly, featuring Katie Price. We're going to get to that next, and you can find him on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle?
It's at Kavanagh_official.
Let's go then to the next thing that, of course, has defined you of late, coming out, getting engaged, getting a fiancé. Congratulations on that, firstly.
Thank you. That's a surprise.
I wonder whether a lot of your problems have been born out of the fact that you were living a lie for so long. I wonder, at what point did you realise, I can't do this anymore? When in your heart did you know that you were gay and that the straight life act wasn't for you?
Oh, God. I mean, I don't want to sound like a fraud to anybody because obviously I loved my fans and, you know, female, male, but I knew I was gay from the get-go. I mean, you know, to be honest with you, my first manager was gay. And, you know, I definitely played that card. You know, I definitely, you know, I'm not saying anything went on between us, but I knew for a fact he was gay. He knew for a fact I was gay, but never really advised me on what to do about it. So that kind of left me wondering what I should do about it. And the right thing to do was just deny, make up that you fancied this girl, make up that you know, you wanted to date Billy Piper, do all this. And the more webs you weave, the more it plays on your psyche. And I've kind of built this lie for so long. I mean, even with my family, you know, I told them that I was dating models in London, that I was doing this, that I was doing that, catching myself out. I think sometimes a lot of the turning to the drink definitely was one of the reasons for that.
Here's an honest question, and you don't have to answer it, but why couldn't you come out? I mean, Elton was out, Boy George Michael, so many people had successfully done that transition. What do you think it was that you couldn't take that next step?
I just think that, A, nobody would ever question me on it, so I just carried on, whether that was out of politeness or not. And B, I didn't really think I was at the level of, I don't know, fame where I needed to do it. And also there was nobody else around of my age. You know, there was no Will Youngs. I don't even think Stephen Gately had come out at that point. So there was literally nobody to compare it with, you know. And then obviously I went out in the limelight for years and years, and so there was no reason to really discuss it. And then obviously when the big reunion came along, I sat down and thought, am I going to do this now? Because I can't do this at 30 odd years old and still pretend to be straight, because what if somebody comes out of the woodwork? So that was quite cathartic actually, because I felt a bit stupid at 30 odd years old coming out, but I hadn't had a reason to, because I've not done anything in public before, you know. So that was a big release for me. That helped a lot when I did that on the big reunion, and the support was great, because obviously it's a different era now, you know.
Yeah, nobody really cares, do they, at this point? I suppose back in the day maybe they did. The obvious question I've got to ask you is, did you ever have a girlfriend then, and were you sexually active with women, or were you always gay privately?
You know, I had a few things here and there that I went on a few dates with Martine McCutcheon. The early days we were both signed to Virgin. Poor thing, I think she wondered why I would never really take it further than just the odd snog.
Yes.
And I felt guilty about that, because she's a beautiful, you know, attractive girl. There was lots of flirting, but no, there was never really any girlfriend, and I never really had my first sexual encounter with a guy until I actually moved to LA. That's when I was completely incognito, and that's when I felt like I could just be myself, you know.
I mean, you would have been caught out, I guess. Somebody would have sold it somewhere if you'd have done it over here.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't know. I was too fearful. I was too afraid. I felt like I'd built up this whole personality, and then I was just too fearful to then do it, you know.
And what about people in the business? I mean, it's surrounded by people who are camp and gay. I mean, it's so accepted within the business. Were people understanding of you? I mean, I've read stories about Stephen Gately and things like that. Was there any private support behind the scenes?
No, not really. I mean, like I said, I wasn't. Stephen was probably one of the only, and I certainly don't want to do this as like some kind of publicity using him, but he was truly one of the few people that I could talk to about it, you know. And obviously we did end up having some kind of, I don't know if you would call it relationship, but we spent a lot of time together, and it was intimate, but we were both very busy. But that was a huge comfort to know that he was going through it too, and in a huge boy band. But obviously you could see that the others knew, and they really supported him and had his back.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was quite sad it was very sad when he passed, because obviously I kind of shared those times that nobody knew, you know. So yeah.
So tragic. And then we look at the reaction to coming out. It seems to me I haven't seen any sneering anywhere. I'm sure there's been a few trolls on Twitter and things, but it's been amazing the support you've had. I suppose at this point you wonder why you didn't do it 15 years ago, 20 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny now doing the rounds again, interviews, stuff like that, and, you know, this record. I just look back and think, God, if I could only be as relaxed and comfortable as I am now than I was then, I probably would have had I probably would have been a whole different story. You know, I probably would have enjoyed. I'm not saying I was miserable the whole time, but it would have been a totally different experience had I had the mindset that I have now. You know, 'cause it doesn't really matter, but you just live in fear because you live in your head the whole time.
Do you think there would have been a conspiracy that if you'd have come out, the management would have sacked you, or you wouldn't have got re-signed, or the gigs would have been cancelled? Do you truly think that's possible?
I don't know. You know, I really don't know because, like I say, it was around the time when nobody else was out, and then just as people were starting to come out was when I disappeared.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say, but like I say, you know, I built up my fan base as this cutie pie Cav, you know. This Manchester cheeky chappy.
And what a waste. I mean, when I look at those pictures of you, as I say, I've never been attractive. To think at this point, imagine the opportunities, the people you could have slept with. I mean, they'd have been infinite.
I know, I'm thinking those were the years I should have been sowing my wild oats, and I was there, you know, eating a hamburger on room service.
Mind you, those Freeview channels. Have you tried channel 726 in a hotel? It's marvellous. Honestly, the hours you can pass watching that.
Oh, really? I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, it comes up on your bill, though, so careful if management see it.
All right, okay.
And then we look at you.
Enough to get away with it, then.
There you go. And then we look at your comeback and CBB and, of course, the reunion. I think we saw you evolve as a human being on the big reunion more than CBB because it made us realise how tough the business is and how on stage you can be all tits and teeth and in real life it's a tough business. I mean, people forget you can be a millionaire one minute and unemployable the next. It is brutal, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there was times when I just remember just literally losing everything, losing the house that I'd bought for my parents, I remember I was in London, I had to call the mortgage company and they literally said, well, we're taking the house off you now. And I just remember walking around Leicester Square in circles, I think I had about £1 in my pocket. I just thinking, I've got to now go and tell my parents that you know, they've got to move out of the house and they've got to go and live in, you know, back to the way they lived 15 years before. And I think that again, and then that, in a way, I blame that for my mum's dementia because then she started getting dementia and it was a rough few years that because I just basically I kind of gave up. I just lived at home. You know, my dad passed away. I lived with my mum. She in the early age of the dementia. She's now got Alzheimer's, but she's well looked after. And, you know, she's good. Well, she's good as she can be. But that was a rough patch.
You do know that it's nothing to do with that, don't you? You do know that nothing that you've done in your life could lead to somebody getting dementia.
Sure, but I think at the time, you know, they say moving is one of the worst things you can possibly do. And
right.
To people, and then you think at that age, should I really have had them move? But then I suppose I gave them a good 10 years living in a nice big house, so you have to look at it that way, I suppose.
Right, and also you're not responsible for them. I think there's a huge pressure on people when they have money, and everybody always thinks you've got more money than you really have in showbiz, don't they?
Yeah, exactly. That's so true. I mean, I remember scraping money to, you know, people would still kind of recognise me and oh, I have a picture, and I'd be like scraping money to just put on the Oyster card. You know, I felt like saying, can you just borrow me £1, please, so I can get back on the tube. Yeah.
I remember Jim Davidson saying to me once after he went bankrupt that there's nothing worse than being famous and poor.
Yeah, absolutely. I can relate to that, definitely.
And of course, you carried on fighting. You did the clubs. You did whatever gig you had to do to survive. I suppose that last year's giving you another profile that you can jump up a peg or two and get bigger gigs and bigger shows. Where are you at right now? That's the most important question. Professionally, are you working again? Are you financially stable and are you happy?
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously financially stable is, you know, obviously I'm putting this record out myself, so that costs money. And but I'm at a place where obviously I've met somebody that kind of understands me and my, you know, my personality. So that helps. That's been a huge calming influence. But yeah, the big reunion coming along was definitely a bit of a golden ticket because I really was just about to. I wouldn't know what else to do. Maybe get a normal job, but I would just be miserable because what if I did get recognised and you have to work in a all day and you're constantly, you know what I mean? And it sounds ungrateful, but when that's all you've done from 16, you don't really know what else to do.
Right. The good news is, though, you've got a great voice and you'll always work, whether it's on the same level you did before at the height of smash hits is neither here nor there. I suppose that's your ultimate blessing, isn't it? That you can sing and you will always sing.
Yeah, and it's not about, although I am releasing the record, it's not about chart success. It's about doing what you love, corny as it sounds. I'm in control now. I'm doing what I absolutely love. I put this whole record together. I wrote it myself, done the video together. So it's nice to be in control, and obviously it's all changed now with Twitter, Facebook, social media is a huge help.
Yeah.
So best foot forward, I suppose.
And let's talk romantically. What a blessing this guy came into your life. Tell us the story, how you met and how he eventually proposed to you, which was beautiful.
Yeah, well, I met Neil. Neil's a Manchester film director, writer. And he approached me about doing some music for his film. And we were on the phone here and there, and I just thought, I really get on with this guy. There was no thinking of anything romantic. And then we met, and I did my usual trick of, I really, really like you on the first date. So he could have run a million miles. I thought I was a psycho. But, luckily, he hung in there. And then obviously, we started dating, and we just got on like a house on fire. He's very calm. We're kind of the opposites, but it kind of works. He's very focused on his work and stuff like that. And and then obviously I went into the Big Brother house. He must have missed me, or just felt really sorry for me because it was absolutely madhouse. And then there was talk of doing, maybe getting engaged. And then obviously Alexander O'Neill had his concert, and he had it planned. I think he told Cammy Lee about it, Katie Price, and they were all whispering at the gig. I'm thinking, what are they whispering about? And next thing you know, I'm asked up on the stage by Alexander. I thought he was asking me to do a duet.
Yeah.
Thinking, I've not even know what he's going to ask me to sing. And then Neil comes on, and next thing it's camera phones and high fives and whoops. And it was quite the moment.
Have you ever felt more fulfilled than you have at this point?
That was a great moment. That was a really great moment. So I feel like I've got a bit of an anchor. I've got somebody that's got my back, that doesn't care about the fame side or anything like that. I mean, he just wants to be with Anthony for all of his craziness.
I mean, it is amazing how it's moved on when you look at Grindr. I mean, imagine if you'd have had that in your day, the fun you could have had.
Oh, I know, but then, I mean, God, imagine the nervous anxiety I'd have, you know what I mean? If I'd had a few drinks and gone on there, and then next thing you know, someone's got a screenshot, and oh my God, I mean, God, thank God they didn't have it.
You see, we're very old. I'm 35 now. The idea of putting a picture of your private parts on the internet terrifies me, but these days they think nothing of it, do they?
I know, it's a dumb thing. At this moment in time, I don't think it would go down too well.
So to speak, yes. And as we bring this interview full circle, here you are with this brand new single. Tell us the date it's out and the story behind it. Katie Price, of course, you work with on CBB, is in the video. It was this brilliant shoot that was done so humbly, and you kept your roots in Manchester.
Yeah, we did. Neil actually shot the video. They say you'd never mix business with pleasure, but we did a good job. Luckily, he didn't really have to direct me. I just had to stand on the stage and sing. And there's a local... I live in Burnage at the moment, and there's a local community centre which is basically looks like it's from the 50s. We went in there, said, "Can we film it?" Yeah, no problem. And then I thought, the arc was they wanted a bit of a cutie pie story of a girl and a geeky guy, and I was texting Katie, and I said, "Oh, by the way, what do you think about me in the video?" And then she said, "Absolutely, why not?"
Yeah, it's interesting you say geeky guy. I wonder your perception of you, especially back in the day. Did you know how hot you were? At this point, do you still see yourself as a sex symbol? How do you view yourself? How did you view yourself?
I think we all have insecurities. I mean, obviously I knew that I probably was somewhat good looking, but I was never really like a big muscly guy or anything like that. I mean, I was barely out of school when I first started. I mean, some of them pictures that I see now, I'm literally like a child, with curtains and like little skinny arms. But obviously when you get the adulation, then of course I think I was photogenic, put it that way.
Yeah. And the reception you get now at gigs and when you're doing your show, I guess the audience grows up with you, so we're all about the same age. Is it more, what shall we say, a subtle reaction? Do they behave themselves a bit more, or do they still scream and take the tops off?
Well, to be honest with you, they've almost gone a bit wilder, to be honest. I mean, on the big reunion tour, some of these, say some of the women, for example, they were around back in the day. I mean, some of them have got kids now, and to them it was almost like it was a big hen night party every night. These women had probably got babysitters for the night and just wanted to relive the youth.
Yeah.
And boy, did they relive it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of the meet and greets, they they were definitely interesting. But no, I mean, everybody just had a ball by the looks of it.
Was that show fun for you in the end? I mean, there were some really dark, dramatic moments, which is great TV, of course. Was it overall a great experience?
I mean, listen, I had my little meltdown on there. You know, it was new for me being in a band, put it that way. When you're used to being on your own and then having to share everything. I'm not saying necessarily the spotlight, but just decisions. You know, what song's this and who's going to wear that and who's going to do that. Obviously, being older as well, it was a case of who's the boss kind of thing.
Right. And let's face it, Adam Rickett does make you want to puke. I mean, nobody likes a show off, do they?
And he's still got the abs.
Oh, it makes me sick. I hate attractive people. I can't be doing with them.
He's a lovely lad, but
I'm sure he is.
Those abs are a bit, might be plastic actually, I don't know.
You've got a great personality and a terrific voice, and you'll always work. That's the great thing about you. I wish you the best of luck with this new single. Give us the date and all the details where people can get it.
Okay, it's out on 18th of September. It's available for pre-order right now. It went out today on pre-order. And yeah, videos out there, and it's all systems go, so watch this space.
Good luck with everything. You deserve to be back and big and doing theatres. Cav, great to talk to you. You can find him on Twitter. Just put in Kavana and it'll come up. Great to talk to you, mate.
Thank you.